I'm Lisa K. Donner, along with Graham Noble, Sarah Cowgill, Tim Donner, and Joe Schaefer. And this is Liberty Nation's online TV news program. Try as we might, COVID-19 is still hanging around and will be a factor in the upcoming election. Following his release from Walter Reed, an upbeat, can-do message from President Trump not to fear the virus sparked a furious response from the left. Is the president tone deaf? Or is the left just bound and determined to put a negative spin on every single word that comes out of the president's mouth? Sarah, let's start with you. I think everyone watching this knows what Trump said, that we shouldn't fear COVID or let it dominate our lives. But the minute he said that, I kind of knew his opponents were going to jump all over that statement. Is the president not self-aware enough to understand that leftists will take a statement like that and turn it around? Or does he just not care what they think? Or option three, and then I swear I will shut up and let you talk. Does he make these kinds of comments on purpose just to kind of rile the left up?
Well, I think you could say he does all of the above at any given time on any given day, simply to make some noise. If he cured COVID, they'd still be saying nasty things. Why didn't he cure it yesterday? Damn it. Why the hell did he have to go to Walter Reed first? It doesn't matter what the heck he says. So he just keeps going, one foot in front of the other and I don't think he cares. I really don't think he cares.
I would agree with that. I really think he struck exactly the right tone with that message. And quite frankly, I think it's a message that the American people needed to hear. The level of fear and hysteria over this virus is just completely over the top. And that's me using a bit of famous British understatement. It's completely over the top. And I thought his words were great. People shouldn't fear this virus. They shouldn't allow it to dominate them. Okay, take precautions, particularly if you've been diagnosed with it. It makes sense to maybe not be wandering around the grocery store at all, social distancing or not, mask or not. Maybe you should be inside. But everybody else needs to stop, as the president said, allowing this virus to dominate their lives. It's ridiculous.
Tim, let me just ask you, do you think there was something Churchillian about what Trump said that maybe the peeps didn't get over there on the left?
Well, I think he was attempting to be Churchillian. He certainly is a fan of Winston Churchill and has invoked his name in numerous occasions over the last 5 years when he talks about leadership. And I think he clearly feels that leadership is to say, we're not going to let this virus defeat us. Let's live with it, not apart from it, because it's a reality of life. But is it going to lead us to shut down our lives and the economy? Because I can guarantee you, if we do it again, we do a national shutdown again, we are into a depression. There's no question about it. But then examine the converse. The converse is we should be afraid of it. Okay, so if we should be afraid of it, what sort of decisions is that going to lead the American people to? Not very good ones, I would say.
Well, I think, honestly, look at the guy. He's the poster boy for the, percentage, a very small percentage death rate. He's in his 70s. He's a tad on the portly side, and he walked in and out of there in 3 days. So if he can do that, then certainly, the average 30, 40, 50-year-old healthy person shouldn't be terrified.
That's a legitimate point. What do you think, Joe?
Well, I just think that all of this is, again, a Democratic talking point. I don't believe we're talking about the election. I have never believed, and I do not believe, that there's this mass of undecided voters who is like, gee, what is Trump saying on the coronavirus? This is going to impact my vote. I think you can almost break it down on party lines. If you believe in the establishment, if you believe in expertism, if you live in an urban or heavily a dense suburban environment, you're more prone to welcome these lockdowns and wearing your little mask like a sheep. If you live in a rural kind of red area that voted for Trump in 2016, you're not buying any of this garbage. So I think there is an almost split on this. There is not this massive group of undecided voters saying, gee, what did Trump do? This is going to turn the election. And they want it to be a talking point. They want it to be an issue because, again, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris aren't offering the American people a reason to vote for them. So it's, hey, can we use this against Trump? I don't think it's going to work, but anything that they can do to hit this guy, they're going to keep doing.
The reason to vote for him is because he's not Donald Trump. I mean, he's in essence been a cardboard cutout with the words "not Trump" on the front of it. That's all he's been. But what's it going to be?
Years in Washington, D.C., and that's all he is.
Right.
I'd like to play off of Graham's comment a little bit. I think what we're dealing here, what seems to be what we're dealing with COVID-19, is a highly contagious, not so virulent virus to anyone under the age of maybe 70. And like you said, Sarah, even at 74, I mean, of course, not everybody gets Walter Reed care, but does anybody else agree with me that this is, it's a nasty virus, but it's not really going to kill you unless you're in a very specific subgroup demographic?
Well, it's 3 times as contagious, at least, as the flu. And if the flu was 3 times as contagious, it would probably kill about the same number of people. So it's just a matter of how virulently contagious it is rather than how deadly it is, because the average age of a person who died from COVID is between 78 and 80. And of course, there's comorbidities, pre-existing conditions that complicate it. And a great percentage of the people who have died are in nursing homes or places that are particularly vulnerable to spreading very quickly.
But yeah. Sarah, I think we have to look at it this way. Do we run around as a country that is terrified of this, or do we just do the best we can to get on with our daily lives? And I think we have 2 perfect candidates, polar opposites. Biden, looks like he wears his mask to bed or
probably in the shower at least,
or I won't say it, but he wears his mask all the time. Whereas Trump seems more reasonable. And, I saw John Roberts on Fox the other day who said, he felt that Trump was very vigilant about, stay away, wait a minute, you're encroaching beyond my 6 feet kind of thing. Let's remember, this is the guy that when he first entered politics, he did not like to shake hands. He ran around with hand sanitizer all the time. I mean, I think he's appropriately, afraid of the virus, but he doesn't let it rule and reign.
No, I don't believe that either. And if you look at the red states and how they're handling things, especially where I'm at in the middle of the heartland, you've got nothing but rural counties out here, not a lot of population, but people aren't scared. You have your elderly people and some millennials that may, leave their basement every now and again that wear masks. The majority of people around here won't do it. They refuse to do it. They refuse to be what they call sheeple. And so, if you're looking at demographics, the rural people in the silent majority areas are just saying, this is ridiculous. Let's get back to work. And the blue states and cities are, trying to keep people down. It's just bizarre.
Can anyone name one policy difference that Joe Biden would do with COVID that Trump wouldn't do? And don't say the mask mandate, because it's first, let's mandate a federal mask for everybody. Then let's not, it's unconstitutional. And then, maybe we should. I mean.
Well, Kamala Harris in the debate listed all the things that the Biden-Harris or Harris-Biden administration would do. And of course, Mike Pence took the opportunity to say that sounds like plagiarism, because that's exactly what we do. That's exactly what we're doing. And by the way, plagiarism is something that Joe Biden knows a little bit about, which was quite the broadside to start the debate. But of course, Kamala Harris had just said that the way that Trump treated COVID was essentially the biggest scandal in the history of American politics.
Biden said he would cure it if he was president, which if he can cure it when he's president, why can't he cure it now?
It's really about, it's the fear that is what they want, and actual substance, actual discussion about what they want to do doesn't really play into it. And how is that different from all the other things we've seen? The Trump-Russia investigation, the impeachment. It's all about the world's ending. Okay, tell me about it. They don't really have a lot to offer. So to me, this is just another ghost, another phantom, another Trump is blowing up the world thing, that if you examine it closely for 5 seconds, and they think the American voters won't do this. It's so insulting, actually, to the American voters. And this makes me angry because they still don't understand that Trump voters in 2016 knew what they were doing. They were specifically voting for certain policies and beliefs that are different from what the establishment had been doing since 1988. And they still, to this day, refuse to give Trump voters credit for that. It's like, oh, you were fooled by this demagogue. Oh, it's his personality. Oh, he's this wild man. No, they liked what he had to say. They will not give Trump voters that credit. And I think they're going to learn again what a mistake that is on November 3rd.
Sam, I'll give you the last word.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I was really going to add that in terms of the making a campaign issue out of the virus, out of COVID-19, the Democrats are in a position where they cannot afford the American people to get the perception, which would be a correct perception, that this virus really isn't as terrible as we were led to believe, because the more they can portray this virus, the worse they can make the virus seem, then the worse it appears Donald Trump has messed up, has failed to address it. Because if we suddenly all decide to pull our heads out of where they shouldn't be and realize that this virus is really not as bad as we were told, then at that point, we see that Trump's way of dealing with the virus, his response to it, was actually appropriate. Whereas if it's the Black Death, it's going to kill us all. I mean, just the other day, Donna Brazile said on Fox News, thousands of Americans are dying each and every day. And obviously she was implying that the virus was killing thousands of Americans each and every day, which is just not true. The worse they make the virus seem, the worse it appears Donald Trump has failed to respond to it.
Well, you know, guys, all this may come down to perspective. And I wonder if this business of Trump dropping in the polls with seniors is a result of all this hammering about COVID. You guys made some particularly good points. But when it comes right down to it, I guess we won't have long to find out if the leftist spin has worked. And that's it for our Conservative 5 panel today. Check out our other segments on your favorite video platform. Thanks so much for tuning in. And remember, surf on over to LibertyNation.com. Subscribe to our popular conservative news daily briefing. Visit our Roku channel. And now we have a Rumble page where this program can be seen along with all our other Liberty TV shows. And remember, guys, Liberty all the time and everywhere.
Election 2020 Big Bottom Flash Reports are coming. On election night, at the bottom of every hour, LibertyNation.com will give you Election Night 2020, 90 seconds at a time, with our Big Bottom Flash Reports. You'll get the drop with our one-stop shop. We'll shed the light on Fight Night. Tune into LibertyNation.com on election night for our Big Bottom Flash Reports at the bottom of every hour. 90 glorious seconds for everything you need to know without the spin.